In the vast expanse of our universe, where the echoes of our actions reverberate with unforeseen consequences, we are drawn into a tale of betrayal and solitude, where choices made resonate through the lives of those entwined in its narrative. Enter John, a man of 51 summers whose life was upturned 13 years prior by the merciless tempest of economic hardship. The Great Recession, a force of nature in its own right, laid waste to livelihoods indiscriminately, and among its casualties was John's family construction business. Bereft of his father and burdened with the weighty responsibility of caring for his mother and two school-aged children alongside his wife, Mona, John found himself torn from his hometown's embrace. Forced by the gales of financial ruin to seek refuge afar, John embarked on a journey across Asia, chasing the elusive promise of a fresh start. Dubai, a gleaming oasis amidst the desert, became his sanctuary, where he labored tirelessly to forge a brighter future for his loved ones. Despite the physical distance separating him from Texas, his heart remained tethered to the Lone Star State, and he made regular pilgrimages back home, yearning to gather his family under one roof once more. Yet, Mona and their children, now blossoming into young adults in the familiar streets of Houston, hesitated to abandon the comfort of their roots. Their ties to Texan soil ran deep, resisting the allure of John's dreams in a foreign land. When John broached the subject of relocating to Dubai, envisioning a harmonious reunion, Mona's hesitation cast a shadow over his aspirations. Her attachment to their homeland and her concerns for his mother's well-being anchored her firmly to Texas, leaving John adrift in a sea of unfulfilled desires. Undeterred by Mona's reservations, John resolved to share his plans of bidding farewell to Dubai and returning to the embrace of his Texan roots. However, instead of the anticipated jubilation, his announcement was met with Mona's discontent, shattering his illusions of a joyous homecoming. Her resistance pierced through the veneer of his optimism, leaving him grappling with the stark reality that his vision of family unity remained but a distant dream. In the wake of Mona's rejection, John found his heart burdened with unanswered questions. Why did she resist his embrace? What unseen forces compelled her to cling to the life they had built in his absence? As doubts gnawed at his resolve, he sought solace in the belief that his unwavering dedication would smoothen the transition back to their homeland. Yet Mona's response, lacking in warmth or understanding, only served to deepen the chasm of uncertainty within their relationship. Her reluctance to embrace his plans echoed the dissonance that had crept into their bond, leaving John adrift in a sea of doubt. Amidst the tumult of conflicting emotions, one truth remained unwavering: his steadfast commitment to their shared future, regardless of the obstacles strewn in their path. As John grappled with the discord in his marriage, the discovery of his wife's reluctance to join him in Texas had stirred a tempest of doubts within him. The unexpected visit from his mother, laden with warnings against hasty decisions, only added fuel to the fire of uncertainty that raged within his mind. Mona's resistance, coupled with his mother's unanticipated concern, sent John spiraling into a whirlpool of self-doubt. Could he truly be making the wrong decision? Was his longing for home blinding him to the practicalities of their situation? Despite his initial resolve, the convergence of these conflicting voices sowed seeds of hesitation in John's heart. The revelation that Mona had shared his plans with his mother without his knowledge struck him like a thunderbolt. It was a betrayal that cut deep, a breach of trust that left him questioning the very foundation of their marriage. Yet, even as doubts festered, John found himself grappling with the unsettling realization that his wife's emotional distance had become palpable, her once vibrant presence now shrouded in an enigmatic veil. In the days that followed, John's attempts to bridge the growing chasm between them fell upon deaf ears. His longing for connection, for understanding, was met with silence, leaving him adrift in a sea of unanswered questions. With each passing day, Mona's indifference seemed to solidify into a barrier that John could neither breach nor comprehend. As their communication dwindled to mere transactional exchanges, John found himself consumed by a gnawing sense of unease. The thought that his wife no longer needed him, that she had found solace and companionship elsewhere, gnawed at the edges of his consciousness like a persistent whisper in the dark. The confrontation, when it came, was fraught with tension and unspoken truths. John's heartache spilled forth in a torrent of words, his voice trembling with the weight of his doubts and fears. Yet Mona's response was dismissive, her words a hollow reassurance that only served to deepen his sense of isolation. The realization that Mona had been cheating on him and that his mother had been complicit in concealing the truth struck John like a blow to the gut. Betrayed by those closest to him, he found himself grappling with a maelstrom of conflicting emotions. Anger, hurt, and betrayal warred within him, threatening to engulf him in their tumultuous embrace. Yet, amidst the chaos of his emotions, John found a glimmer of clarity. He could not let this betrayal define him, could not allow himself to be consumed by bitterness and resentment. With a steely resolve, he made a decision to confront Mona, to demand answers, and to reclaim the shattered pieces of his life. And so, armed with nothing but a bouquet and a heart heavy with sorrow, John embarked on a journey home. It was a journey fraught with uncertainty, a leap of faith into the unknown. But as he stood on the threshold of his house, his hand poised to turn the key, he knew that he could no longer hide from the truth. With a deep breath, he pushed open the door and stepped inside. And there, in the heart of his home, amidst the familiar sights and sounds of domesticity, stood Mona. Her surprise was palpable, her eyes widening in shock as she beheld the unexpected sight of her husband standing before her. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, the silence stretching between them like an unbridgeable chasm. And then, with a trembling smile, John stepped forward, the bouquet held out as a silent offering of reconciliation. It was a small gesture, a fragile thread of hope woven amidst the wreckage of their marriage. But in that moment, as Mona reached out to accept the flowers, John knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, united in their shared determination to rebuild what had been lost. As John confronted the harsh reality of his wife's infidelity, his mind became a battleground of conflicting emotions. Mona's initial surprise at his sudden return masked a deeper suspicion, a wariness born from the knowledge that her carefully constructed facade was about to crumble beneath the weight of his relentless pursuit of truth. With grim determination, John embarked on a clandestine mission to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within the confines of his marriage. Every clandestine act, every invasion of privacy was a testament to the depths of his desperation, a reflection of the relentless grip that suspicion held upon his soul. He delved into the murky depths of deceit, resorting to methods that tested the bounds of morality. From eavesdropping on her conversations to planting GPS devices and trailing her every move, John left no stone unturned in his quest for answers. Each revelation, each fragment of truth unearthed, served only to deepen the chasm of betrayal that yawned before him. The day of reckoning arrived with a sickening inevitability as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place with damning clarity. Mona's carefully guarded secrets were laid bare, her affair exposed in all its sordid detail. The hardware store, once an innocuous facade, became the stage upon which their deception played out in stark relief. As John watched from the shadows, his heart constricted with a pain so visceral it threatened to consume him whole. The sight of his wife, entwined with her lover, her betrayal laid bare for all to see, sent shockwaves reverberating through his shattered soul. But it was the presence of his own mother, complicit in their deceit, that struck the final blow, shattering the fragile remnants of trust that remained. The truth hung heavy in the air, suffocating John with its cruel embrace. With each passing moment, the weight of his betrayal bore down upon him, threatening to crush him beneath its unforgiving burden. It was a betrayal that transcended mere infidelity, a betrayal that cut to the very core of his being, leaving him gasping for air in a world gone cold and cruel. Yet, even in the depths of his despair, John found a flicker of resolve burning within him. With trembling hands and a heart heavy with sorrow, he approached the threshold of the hardware store, his footsteps echoing in the silence like a funeral dirge. And as the door swung open before him, revealing the scene of his wife's treachery laid bare, John steeled himself for the confrontation that awaited. There, amidst the dimly lit interior of the shop, stood the object of his scorn, her lover, his face a mask of guilt and shame. But it was Mona, her features twisted with remorse, who held John's gaze with a haunted intensity. In that moment, as their eyes met across the expanse of betrayal and deceit, John knew that there could be no turning back. With a voice heavy with emotion, he confronted them both, his words a testament to the pain that gnawed at his soul. And as the truth spilled forth like poison from his lips, he watched as the facade crumbled, leaving nothing but the stark reality of their betrayal in its wake. In the aftermath of the confrontation, as the dust settled and the echoes of their deception faded into the ether, John found himself standing at the precipice of a new beginning. It was a beginning forged in the crucible of pain and betrayal, a beginning that promised both healing and redemption in equal measure. And as he turned his back on the wreckage of his past, his heart heavy but unbowed, John knew that though the road ahead would be fraught with hardship and uncertainty, he would walk it with head held high, his spirit unbroken by the shadows of his betrayal. For in the depths of his despair, he had found a strength born of adversity, a strength that would carry him through the darkest of nights into the dawn of a new day. As John confronted the truth within the hardware store, his world shattered into a chaotic frenzy of emotions. The sight before him, his wife in a state of intimate vulnerability with her illicit lover, sent shockwaves reverberating through his being. In that fleeting moment, amidst the moans of ecstasy and the palpable tension, John's fury ignited like a wildfire, propelling him into action. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, John demanded answers, his voice a thunderous roar amidst the cacophony of chaos. As he pushed past the affair partner and stormed into the dimly lit storeroom, his heart raced with a mixture of rage and disbelief. There, in the dim glow of the room, he found his wife, her naked form sprawled upon the floor, lost in the throes of passion with her clandestine lover. But before John could fully process the scene before him, he found himself yanked back into the harsh light of reality as the affair partner seized him and dragged him away from the shocking tableau. The chaos unfolded in a blur of motion and sound as Mona's desperate cries pierced the air, mingling with the sounds of struggle and confusion. As the adrenaline-fueled haze began to clear, John found himself standing amidst the wreckage of his shattered illusions, his heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. In that moment of clarity, he confronted his wife, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and despair. Gripping her neck with trembling hands, he demanded answers, his eyes burning with an intensity born of years of pent-up frustration and resentment. Mona's tearful pleas for understanding only served to fuel John's rage, his mind reeling with the enormity of her betrayal. The revelation that she had sought solace in the arms of another, that she had betrayed their marriage vows in pursuit of fleeting comfort, struck him like a blow to the gut. Yet, amidst the turmoil of his emotions, a nagging question lingered in the depths of his soul. Why had she not chosen to end their marriage if the chasm between them had grown so vast? As the truth spilled forth in a torrent of tears and broken promises, John felt his anger give way to a profound sense of sorrow. The realization that his wife had been driven to such desperate measures by loneliness and isolation, that she had sought refuge in the arms of another to fill the void left by his absence, pierced him to the core. And as he stood there, amidst the wreckage of his shattered dreams, John knew that there could be no easy answers, no quick fixes for the wounds that lay raw and bleeding within his heart. Yet, even in the depths of his despair, a flicker of hope burned within him, a glimmer of possibility amidst the ruins of his shattered marriage. For in that moment of truth, amidst the tears and the recriminations, John saw the fragile threads of love and forgiveness that still bound them together. And though the road ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainty, he vowed to walk it with his head held high, his heart open to the possibility of redemption and renewal. As John grappled with the staggering betrayal of both his wife and his mother, the weight of their deception bore down upon him like a suffocating blanket of despair. His mind churned with a maelstrom of emotions, from seething anger to profound sorrow, as he sought to make sense of the shattered fragments of his shattered life. With his heart heavy and his spirit broken, John turned to his mother, the one person he had believed would always stand by his side. Yet, even her tearful apologies and feeble justifications offered little solace in the face of her complicity in Mona's betrayal. The realization that his own mother had chosen to support his wife's infidelity rather than stand by him in his time of need cut him to the core. In the days that followed, John retreated into a cocoon of sorrow, drowning his anguish in the numbing embrace of solitude. His thoughts turned to his daughters, his heart heavy with the knowledge that they deserved to know the truth about their mother's betrayal. With a heavy heart and a sense of duty weighing upon him, John made the journey to Houston, determined to confront his daughters with the harsh reality of their mother's actions. The meeting with his daughters was fraught with tension and heartache, as John struggled to find the words to convey the depth of Mona's betrayal. Yet, even amidst the tears and the anguish, there was a glimmer of understanding in their eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the truths that had long been whispered in the shadows of their fractured family dynamic. As John packed his belongings and prepared to leave, he felt a sense of liberation wash over him, a newfound resolve to break free from the chains of deception that had bound him for so long. With each item carefully packed away, he shed the weight of his past, leaving behind the shattered remnants of his shattered dreams. And as he walked away from the empty house, his footsteps echoing in the silence of abandonment, John felt a sense of clarity wash over him. He had made his decision, chosen to forge a new path forward, untethered by the ghosts of his past. And though the road ahead was uncertain, he walked it with his head held high, his spirit unbroken by the betrayals that had torn his world asunder. In the days that followed, as the calls and texts from Mona and his mother filled his phone with apologies and pleas for forgiveness, John remained steadfast in his resolve. He had made his choice, chosen to reclaim his autonomy and rebuild his life on his own terms. And though the wounds of betrayal would take time to heal, John knew that he would emerge from the ashes of his shattered past, stronger and more resilient than ever before. As John grappled with the staggering betrayal of both his wife and his mother, the weight of their deception bore down upon him like a suffocating blanket of despair. His mind churned with a maelstrom of emotions, from seething anger to profound sorrow, as he sought to make sense of the shattered fragments of his shattered life. With his heart heavy and his spirit broken, John turned to his mother, the one person he had believed would always stand by his side. Yet, even her tearful apologies and feeble justifications offered little solace in the face of her complicity in Mona's betrayal. The realization that his own mother had chosen to support his wife's infidelity rather than stand by him in his time of need cut him to the core. In the days that followed, John retreated into a cocoon of sorrow, drowning his anguish in the numbing embrace of solitude. His thoughts turned to his daughters, his heart heavy with the knowledge that they deserved to know the truth about their mother's betrayal. With a heavy heart and a sense of duty weighing upon him, John made the journey to Houston, determined to confront his daughters with the harsh reality of their mother's actions. The meeting with his daughters was fraught with tension and heartache, as John struggled to find the words to convey the depth of Mona's betrayal. Yet, even amidst the tears and the anguish, there was a glimmer of understanding in their eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the truths that had long been whispered in the shadows of their fractured family dynamic. As John packed his belongings and prepared to leave, he felt a sense of liberation wash over him, a newfound resolve to break free from the chains of deception that had bound him for so long. With each item carefully packed away, he shed the weight of his past, leaving behind the shattered remnants of his shattered dreams. And as he walked away from the empty house, his footsteps echoing in the silence of abandonment, John felt a sense of clarity wash over him. He had made his decision, chosen to reclaim his autonomy and rebuild his life on his own terms. And though the wounds of betrayal would take time to heal, John knew that he would emerge from the ashes of his shattered past, stronger and more resilient than ever before. In the days that followed, as the calls and texts from Mona and his mother filled his phone with apologies and pleas for forgiveness, John remained steadfast in his resolve. He had made his choice, chosen to reclaim his autonomy and rebuild his life on his own terms. And though the wounds of betrayal would take time to heal, John knew that he would emerge from the ashes of his shattered past, stronger and more resilient than ever before. John navigated the aftermath of his shattered marriage. He found himself entangled in a web of emotions and obligations, grappling with the fallout of his wife's betrayal and his mother's complicity. The weight of their actions bore down upon him, casting a shadow over his once stable life and leaving him adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Despite the depth of his hurt and anger, John found himself torn between conflicting impulses towards his estranged wife and his mother. While Mona's betrayal cut him to the core, leaving him reeling with a sense of betrayal and disillusionment, his feelings towards his mother were more complex. Though he harbored resentment towards her for siding with Mona, he also felt a twinge of guilt for scorching her with his anger. In the midst of his turmoil, John remained steadfast in his resolve to distance himself from the toxic dynamics that had poisoned his relationships. He refused to be swayed by Mona's attempts at emotional manipulation or her threats of legal action, recognizing that his decision to cut ties with her was the only path forward for his own well-being. As for his mother, John grappled with conflicting emotions of forgiveness and resentment. While he understood that she, too, had been ensnared in the web of deception spun by Mona, he struggled to reconcile her actions with his own sense of betrayal. Though she had offered apologies, they rang hollow in the face of the pain she had caused him. For now, John chose to focus on healing himself and forging a new path forward. He found solace in the freedom of travel, immersing himself in the vibrant cultures of Asia and seeking solace in the beauty of new experiences. Though the road ahead remained uncertain, John was determined to carve out a future for himself untethered by the chains of his past. As for his feelings towards love and relationships, John remained guarded, wary of opening himself up to the possibility of hurt once more. While he acknowledged the changing nature of love and the complexities of human relationships, he remained cautious in his approach, unwilling to rush into anything that might leave him vulnerable once more. In the end, John's journey was one of self-discovery and resilience, a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Though the scars of betrayal would linger, John was determined to forge ahead, guided by the light of his own inner strength and the unwavering support of his daughters. And as he embarked on this new chapter of his life, John knew that he would emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before.